All right, welcome back everybody to another episode of the Executive Briefing demonstration series. As anybody that's following this series knows, this is my favorite series of content because I get to travel and we get to travel around the world virtually and get to review the best learning systems in the world. And today's no different. Today we have Rich Finstein here who is the president of the LMS and Managed Services division at Cadmium. And he's going to be talking to us today about the Elevate platform that Cadmium has. We're going to let Rich have the lion's share today. Rich, it's all yours. Tell us all about it. We're anxious to learn.
Thank you so much, John, and welcome everybody. Really appreciate it. Again, my name is Rich Finstein. I've been working within the online education space now for over 30 years, and it's been just a pleasure. And we work primarily with associations and support association learning. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about how Cadmium has evolved, and also we're going to be covering sort of the unique benefits of Elevate, our Elevate LMS platform, and then we're going to jump into a demo. Great. So Cadmium was recently formulated from the acquisition of 5 different companies. And our mission is to bring together, simplify the production of events, and maximize the value of online learning, all in one platform. We have a unique offering here where the companies that contribute to Cadmium come from both the event space and the online education space. So in a sense, we're bridging those two communities, and within the platform, we're offering to integrate those two areas into one knowledge offering. And so we're really excited about where this is all going. Our vision is to build the world's most beloved technology company, powering world-class events and online education experiences. So as I mentioned, the key components here are Cadmium CD, WarpWire, Event Rebels, and then ComPartners. So I was the co-founder of ComPartners, an online education company, and we created Elevate LMS. We've joined forces with these other groups. Cadmium CD primarily focused on the online or the on-site event community. WarpWire, which is a multimedia entity, and Event Rebels, which is custom registration. So together, these groups, these companies formed Cadmium to be able to offer that seamless event and education experience. This is timed in the last 2 years. What we've seen, this accelerated development based on the pandemic and the ramifications from that, moving conferences to a virtual and now to a hybrid format. Before that time, traditionally, those two worlds were separate, where online event organizations, associations had separate meeting and exhibit area departments, and then there was the professional development that focused mostly on the online education or continuing education space. Now we're seeing a whole new model based on what occurred in the last year, where organizations are looking more holistically at to support knowledge exchange whenever and wherever it occurs. So whether it's on-site in a hybrid or an online format, there's a synergy between all those options, and that's really the basis of Cadmium and how we're proceeding.
Wow, great.
So, as I mentioned, the traditional structure was event management and continuous learning were separate, and with separate vendors that supported those two areas and separate strategies. So now we do offer that integrated, unified approach where one really leverages the other. And if you think about an event, all the time and attention and investment that goes into an on-site event or an annual conference. And then once that conference is completed, it feels more isolated from other initiatives that are occurring within the organization. Now we're seamlessly taking that content, integrating these platforms, on-site applications, and moving that knowledge, moving those assets over to a perpetual learning space and being able to benefit from the synergy between those two. So that's where it really makes sense. And this is sort of laid out in a more comprehensive manner, where the different settings are taking place, where knowledge is occurring, and then moving that into a perpetual format. So over the last year, Cadmium was created, and we're unifying those organizations and creating that single platform where knowledge transfers from one application to another, or one setting to another, very easily.
Great.
And what it means in a more sort of linear fashion, it's the journey of content, right? So when you begin as early as registration or recording sessions at a conference, gathering all the bios and all the information, the posters that are presented at a conference, abstracts, all of that information seamlessly is incorporated into the event itself, and then transitions along the lines to an online format where it can be repurposed and represented and monetized in an LMS. So if you think about Elevate, it's on the right-hand side. We're taking all of the input and consuming, ingesting that content, and then making it available very easily to the entire community. So that's a bit of a background about Cadmium and how we were formed and our strategy going forward. Now let's delve into the Elevate platform.
Just a quick comment.
Sure.
I haven't ever seen anything so end-to-end yet in my travels. So it's to really take it all the way from the left, the event registration, to the professional development. That's got more piece of the puzzle than I've seen yet. So congratulations on pulling that together.
Oh, thanks, John. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's interesting, the opportunity to sort of break new ground. About 5 years ago, we formed a very close partnership with Higher Logic, the leading community for associations, because we felt at that time that community and learning go together. And whether you learn from peer-to-peer or you learn through instruction, it's all knowledge, it's all sharing of information and education. And so we feel like this year we're taking another step, as you mentioned, to look more holistically at managing knowledge. And again, regardless of what the setting it's taking place. So Elevate was introduced in 2015. So now it's coming up on 7 years. And we are one of the leading platforms for associations. Association Trends recently came out, and we were in the top 2 as far as organizations using an LMS or associations using an LMS. So we're right now have over 300 associations that use Elevate, and we've experienced tremendous growth, 35% growth in the last 2 years. And that's, I think, a result of building momentum since when Elevate was created, and an array of new features that we've come out with, which I'll be talking about in a little bit here. We know that Elevate is part of an ecosystem, so there's a high level of programmatic and visual integration for associations' web presence and their applications, and that's a real benefit to what we're offering. We integrate with over 30 AMS and CRM systems traditionally used by associations. And it's really the philosophy of Elevate is a knowledge community. We recognize that, especially associations with sort of a public facing, they want an LMS that can engage in whatever way stakeholders are interested in ingesting that information or that education. So there's many different formats, many different options that Elevate options, which I'll be talking about in a little bit here. And then finally, from an instructional standpoint, it has integrated certification, digital badging, and even has a multimedia component where organizations can easily create their own videos, edit those videos, place them, and as well as their learners can upload videos And so from a crowdsourcing standpoint, it makes it really participatory. So I mentioned just now that Elevate is a knowledge community, and we pride ourselves in supporting 4 key areas. It has built-in a live event component, and that could be anything from a simple webinar where we integrate seamlessly with Zoom and GoToWebinar, as well as our own proprietary platforms, or a full virtual conference. So we can set up and create something we call design blades or microsites, which is a complete virtual conference look and feel. And that can be launched right within your Elevate platform. So it's something that our clients have benefited a great deal from in the last 2 years, where instead of contracting with a separate virtual conference company, they can do all of that right within Elevate in a unique design, and including exhibits, agendas, social networking within the conference, resources. It's pretty much anything you could do in any other standalone virtual conference offering. Social learning is something that's really coming on, where you can set up topical discussions or course discussions. People can set up their profile, upload their picture, connect with others. So that's a real nice complement to instructional learning. Again, of course, the formal customized education, which includes 17 different types of courses, certifications, certificate programs, medical and legal education, blended learning, micro-learning, all the options that you would expect. And finally, informal knowledge sharing, which would be podcasts, video libraries, news and information. So the synergy between these 4 areas provide that knowledge center feel, and in a really nice design presentation. I mentioned certification. The built-in certification module is something that our clients really are benefiting from. It's sort of the primary reason in many cases for logging into our LMS and continually checking back and making sure that those certifications are up to date. So we manage the entire process for signing up for certification to fulfillment, testing, badges, all the way through, and then a recertification when it's time. So that entire process traditionally is done in many cases outside of an LMS. We think there's many benefits of having it offered right through the LMS, in our case, Elevate. One of the things I think is important I mentioned briefly is that you can automatically have your learners renew for their certification. So when it's time, a notice will go out, your certification's almost up, it's time to renew. And it's a continuous way to bring them back in a pretty significant form, and also then show all the other options for engaging through Elevate. So having certification really leverages and leverages the other work that you've done and builds a synergy between all those other options.
Yep.
Yeah, so I wanted to say a little bit about design. One of the strengths with Elevate is you can completely customize the styling, the layout, font, graphics, and information to take on the association's web presence. So there's not a disjointed feel between the website and your LMS. And so with that, just an example is the Society for Maternal and Fetal Medicine. This is their website, and I'll skip here to their Elevate site. So you see, from a granular standpoint, we can mimic their styling completely, their color scheme, even the brackets that surround the programs there, that purple, all the way down to the programs themselves. So really proud of that, and I think a lot of our clients use us because they know that there's no disconnect once you don't even know that you've left a website and now have arrived on your Elevate site. So that's something that when we share that with clients or potential clients, they really feel excited about, that there will be no disconnect and that we can integrate visually so well.
Yeah, it looks great.
So a couple of the key features I did want to highlight. One is a new translation and accessibility capability. So with this module, you're able to put an accessibility toolbar on, integrate that toolbar within your Elevate site, and it translates into over 100 different languages. So right now, we know how important that is to reach an international audience and make yourself accessible. So the translation, as well as screen readers, keys for reading with magnifiers, be able to take out graphics and simplify down to text for clarity, all of those things to be able to manipulate those attributes is a real benefit, and especially where we are right now with accessibility. So we're excited about that. That's just introduced in the last month or so.
I've never seen anything like that. That is cool.
Yeah, no, it's something that, there's one thing to translate in a couple languages, but to be able to translate in 100 languages with just a selection is something that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So it allows associations to really extend their reach.
And the accessibility piece, I've never seen configurable accessibility before. That's a new concept for me to see that.
Yeah, happy to follow up and share that with you. But
that's great.
We're really excited about that. We think that's going to be important.
All kinds of new stuff today. All right, keep going.
Yeah. All right. So I mentioned the design, what we call design blades, and something I think that we've seen the last 2 years especially is as more people are depending on continuing education, online education, as the other, the on-site options just weren't there, is to leverage in one place all of that content. And an LMS should be the home for that, instead of, creating separate sites and having your members and supporters go in different areas. So within Elevate, this is just an example of the Wisconsin Realtors Association, their virtual conference. We have special widgets that are created just for a virtual conference, for agendas, for exhibit halls, sponsorships, all of that, registration, all of that is available within Elevate in a really attractive, engaging format. The other thing I mentioned briefly is the networking, and I think that's something that's truly unique. The LMS now has evolved from what it was maybe 5-10 years ago as a catalog of learning options to more of a sort of participatory peer-to-peer engagement where one can learn from others in addition to instructors. So setting up your profile, looking through the user directory, connecting with others, sharing ideas, getting messages from others, including either the instructors or other peers within the platform. Our clients are really leveraging those opportunities. So you can either, as I mentioned before, do that through a course experience, or have separate topical discussions that are up to date and timely, especially for those sort of late breaking issues. So just a quick summary here. There's so many features, and I didn't want to, just wanted to give you a breadth, the depth of all that's available, and highlight some of those. So from a content authoring standpoint, I mentioned the video creation and editing feature, which is brand new, built in. We're very excited about that. In addition, though, we have learning pathways, certificate libraries, certifications, as I mentioned, a special treatment for medical credits, also accumulation of partial credits, like you go to a conference and you check into rooms and you receive credits. All of that can roll up to Elevate now, based on our integration with the rest of the Cadmium applications. So there's many applications where, whether it's within Elevate or happens through our other applications now as part of Cadmium, that it can have an impact in organization, and stakeholders or learners can have all of that roll up into their Elevate site. Also, something I want to mention is our resource libraries, which typically are videos, documents, just-in-time information. Organizations are really leveraging that capability. From an e-commerce standpoint, we have built-in integrated e-commerce and merchant services. We support the most popular merchant service platforms, Authorize.net, PayPro, Flow, BluePay are just a couple. There's something called a prepaid balance, which is pretty interesting. You can, just like frequent flyer miles, you can have a balance that can either be credits, where credits go in case they're issued, or let's say integrated, you joined, every year you join as a member, you'll get $200 in your prepaid balance. And through an integration with your AMS, we can process that automatically, and then you can use that for purchase of courses. So things like that really build sort of the relationship with learners and gets them coming back often to your LMS.
Love it.
From a marketing standpoint, so we do use all responsive design, so it's accessible through whatever device your members or your stakeholders are using. There's a communication engine for reminders, notifications that occur. You can do one-off communications. We have a built-in SEO component for promoting courses, as well as discussions, forum discussions to complement the one-on-one and the messaging applications that we have included. So, and then from a relevancy standpoint, this is very interesting that you can, first of all, we have assessment-driven recommendations. So this enables you to provide assessments, and then based on the knowledge gap, present courses that will fill in that gap and sort of complete that learner's knowledge that they need for a particular role or particular title. Also, we have something called defined profile and interests, which a learner can select the interest they're most passionate about, and then those interests, those courses that are tagged with that interest will be pushed to them. And there's a separate area within their site that's just for you, and they can visit that area and see what's new just for them, that's most relevant to them. Finally, from an ecosystem standpoint, we have an open API. We integrate with all the different, the most popular CRMs, AMS systems out there, as well as organizations like Association Analytics or Higher Logic, the most popular applications within the association community. And we're really proud that we're a participating partner to many conversations and many configurations for our clients. And many, they're surprised sometimes that we integrate with their partners already, but it's the years of experience that we've had.
Great.
So just briefly, we have a highly engaging onboarding process. It is a software as a service. So right away, we'll set up a site, a sandbox site, that as we build your site, you'll be able to see it the entire way and collaborate with us, make whatever recommendations or share ideas, and we'll incorporate those into the process. Typically, it's a 90 to 120 day onboarding, but we can move that more quickly if necessary, and you're assigned a dedicated onboarding specialist. Once launched, you'll be assigned a client development representative that'll work with you ongoing, so you will have that person to turn to for whatever you need.
And I don't want to ask this in case you don't have it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What if somebody needs help with running their event, or managed administration, or creating content, or instructional design, all those things that are, I don't know, kind of the blocking and tackling of getting them to use your system? Do you advise on that? Do you do that?
Yeah, no, good question, John. Yeah, we do that. So we have a specialist that focuses on the user experience, as well as we have a team that will support projects for instructional design or curriculum design. Really? So those are all sort of post-implementation, typically, conversations. And a lot of times what happens is after a year or two, it's just like when you move into a house and it looks great when you first move in, and then, it needs to be, maintained after a year or two. So a lot of times we'll have that annual review and we'll work with the client to update, how content is accessed. Typically, they'll have more content when they started. So what's the best, easiest way to get to that content? How do we think about monetization of their platform as they build the volume of content and learners in there?
Mm-hmm.
And then also, as you mentioned, instructional design, when there's a unique sort of need for a training program or an initiative that, that you want to invest in, we have instructional designers that'll work with you to support those projects.
Yeah, great.
So just real quick, I wanted to share a couple of testimonials. We have a very, an excellent reputation in the market. If you review the ASE listservs, the professional development listservs, or the LMS listservs, you'll see us mentioned quite often. But we take customer service very, it's critical to us. And I think that comes from, we have an event background. So we have a team that manages webinars, live stream programs. We go on site, or, we'll manage virtual conferences for our clients. And it's the culture of responsiveness that we're really proud of. And that transfers over to our LMS clients as well. So this is from Infusion Nurses Society. And this gentleman, Chris Hunt, will tell you that it's dramatically changed their whole organization, their Elevate site. And it is something that, they were having challenges about 5 years ago, and now this is their most significant revenue generator for them. This gentleman, John Bernhardt's, now has been with a couple clients of ours, and each time he's put in Elevate, and just a great story. He's had, for APA there, they were using it as a training portal, and it's worked out very well. Finally, and I'm going to show this in a moment, the American Society of Addiction Medicine, fulfilling the, where we are in treating addiction right now, and ASAM has stepped up as the primary organization to do that, and they've grown, I want to say, like 30 or 40 fold from when they first started in the number of programs they're offering, their revenues that they've generated, and they are stepping into that role and now are the leader in training trainers or training practitioners within the addiction space. So
outstanding.
So for additional information, Megan Gowan is the director of our client development team. She can be reached at megan.gowan@gocadmium.com, and her phone number is there as well. I'm going to switch over real quick here to the demo.
All right.
So hopefully you see my browser here.
Yep.
So I'm going to flip through a few sites, and one of the things I think, again, is so important for us is the presentation of content. And we often say, it's style before, or substance before style, I think, or a lot of people say that. But I think there's probably a balance there. If people can't find what they want, or if it's not presented in an attractive way, they may turn off. So that's something that we pay a lot of attention to. So for this particular organization, this is the Society of Paternal Fetal Medicine. This is their Elevate site. And a couple of things that I wanted to point out. First of all, you can integrate your global menu here. So to quickly make that part of your web presence, you can just go ahead and click to another section, and it'll take you back to the website. And so it doesn't feel like it's a separate site out there. Your LMS is in a separate application. Now, when you log in here, you can see from this site rotating banners on the homepage, which we can support. Typically, there's a navigation here that's just for the LMS, and they have a start here where you get your orientation. They have all their offerings. And I mentioned earlier this idea of a knowledge community, and a lot of our clients leverage that. They take advantage of all those opportunities. So you see here with this organization, they have podcasts, different webinar series, in person. We have an in-person module within Elevate, so you can promote in-person courses as well, on demand, live, and so forth, and the recommended for you. And like many organizations, they've put the recommended for you right on their homepage. So Based on me logging in and the integration with the AMS CRM, it'll present uniquely programs that are appropriate for me. And you see, we have this animated sort of process where we can set these courses up and we can define a visual component with them. I go to them, one of these courses here. You'll see some kind of overview, and then I'm in as an administrator now. Right now, you see the managed product, which gives me the administrator sort of controls. Normally, that's not there. And then you'll have a color-coded sort of system that takes you where you are. This only has two components. It has a looks like a on-demand recording of a webinar and a survey. But however sophisticated that course is, we can have sections and lay it out in different ways for you. A couple other sites that I wanted to share. This is the American Association for Study of Liver Diseases. Call their Liver Learning, everything you wanted to know about livers, John. Exciting stuff. Anyway, so
it is for somebody.
So this is their global menu, and this looks exactly like their website. It's the same format with the left-hand menu. So this goes to the flexibility that we have in creating the homepage and welcoming your learners. Now, these widgets here are typically animated and have multiple sort of navigation points. They can be set up by you as the administrator. So whenever you want to update or create a new widget, it's very easy to do. Once we turn over the controls, you're able to do all of this yourself. Now, in this case, there's taxonomy and navigation, so you can quickly go to topics, categories that you're most interested in on the left. In addition, they have that recommended for you, and they have stars. You can rate programs, and it'll show you how many people rated once you navigate through to see how many people rated those, provided their input there. It tells you how many components here. So we know this has 39 components. This has 24, including, could be on-demand programs, testing, surveys, credits, certificates. All of that is included. Just to flip through here a little bit more from a visual standpoint, this is the Urban Land Institute, and you can see how nice and clean that is. And again, we can stylize these any way that makes sense to support the learner experience. And this is the National, the Missing Children group. It's a nonprofit, but they've done a nice job of making their home page accessible and attractive. Here's NACHA, the payments group. Just clicking onto them, they've done a nice job navigating their topics. So this is all the different key areas that you can navigate to, and it's very simple. And I think that's a critical part of this, is to be able to provide accessible programs that show people very easily how to navigate. And then you can, from here, decide how you want to sort by category, by format, by product type, or by new to old, or by title, or the most highly rated. That's also available option. Let me just try to get to these controls here. A minute. Another one that I just wanted to share, and this is another example, we can do these animated, so credits available. So treat these widgets in a little bit more dynamic way. And this is the American College of Osteopathic Internists. So if we go there, and we can see more information here, and this is a package of sessions, and they're just provided very easily here. And you can either look at those sessions individually or order them as a group. So if I looked at an overview and then I see the speakers, everything is accessible without, just from this sort of initial screen. Getting more information on those, and you can see, and then, in this case, the content is only available once you register, but it's very easy and simply laid out. I mentioned the virtual conference. I wanted to show you an example of that. This is the Design Build Institute of America. And this is their homepage that they have set up. And then this is their virtual conference. So this is within the virtual conference site, or I'm sorry, into the LMS site, their Elevate site. You can do this virtual conference and it looks unique and completely different than their LMS. So this is what we call that design blade. So now we can enter sessions, exhibitors, awards here. So if we go to the exhibit hall, this is all part of Elevate. You see all the exhibitors laid out and sponsors. And what we're finding is, we initially thought this would only be appropriate for an event, but we're finding that more and more of our Elevate clients want to sponsor their LMS all year round. And they're generating revenue from doing that. So the sponsorship, the exhibit capabilities are available whether you have an event or not. Just to show you another virtual conference site, the Wisconsin Realtors Association. This is their virtual conference site. And you can see what we're able to do here from a design standpoint. You're really not losing anything. And this was for a hybrid, so you can see that this was all for the on-site programs. And this was, it says stream, the one that they were making available from an online standpoint. And we have these widgets which expand for the agenda, which we introduced right when the beginning of last year when we came into this situation. And we knew that virtual conference were going to be critical to our Elevate clients. This is the American Society of Addiction Medicine. And I just from a high level, I mentioned before that they've had a tremendous amount of content and they've had to update their navigation to support that simple navigation. So, or to support that simple access. So they have now these widgets which take you to different areas within their site, content library by price, by experience level, recommended for you, setting up the preferences, and they have their certifications and so forth. So with one homepage, oh, by the way, they also have one-touch topics here. So if you want to look up one of these topics, you can just click a button and that'll take you there. So if we were going to featured activities here, you can click here. And they have all their virtual conferences there, review courses, fundamentals, and I'll go to open here, and then they have their pain and addiction medicine area. So you can see as you navigate through a presentation of content that's easily accessible and it allows you just to find quickly whatever you're interested in. And then let me just, I think I have one more screen. Yeah, so this is that area and it shows you, and this again is typical, the registration instructions, the content. And from that content, you can look at speakers, credits, disclosures, handouts, and so forth. And they have all the programs that are in that series. And here they've identified here the credits that go along with that. So that's a little showcase of sites, the client sites. I'm going to do a brief, we're good on time, John, here?
Yeah, we got another 10 minutes or so.
10 minutes, perfect. So this is a demo site that we have, and this is a typical layout where you visually present what's in the site, and then on the right, you'll have everything that just for you. So for me, I'm logged in as myself here, and it's accessing my upcoming programs, certifications that I have available. It has a personalized assessment for me, and I'm going to talk about what that is in a moment. Discussions that are appropriate for me, a listing of all the participants in the site, my profile, my dashboard, my shopping cart. It has a poll. You can put polls on any screen, any page within a course, or just in general over in the column like it is here. And it presents pie chart or various other ways of rendering the results. And then recommended for me. So I've enrolled in this demo, so it only has view. I have not enrolled in this assessment-driven learning path. And so it's saying register. And based on the integration with an AMS, it'll tell me what the price is automatically and show me what my particular price is. So let's say as a member, it's free to me, but as a non-member, it could be a charge, and it would show up there. So I don't have to look through member, non-member rates. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's go ahead and go more information here for this Learning Path demo. Now I'm going to register for it. And it does have an instant registration. So what this is, what I'm showing you now is the area where you can set up a simple sort of assessment, have somebody complete that assessment, and then be recommended courses for them based on their knowledge gap. So I'm going to go ahead and take this assessment. And I've put in here some pretty simple questions. It gives you explanations if you have that set up. So right after you either get the right or wrong answer, it'll tell you why you got it right or wrong. Did you know that Texas is more popular than, or has greater population than California, John? Did you know that?
I did not.
Okay.
If you keep asking me questions, you'll find out a lot of things I don't know.
Okay. All right, so it tells me I've passed. So normally you pass the quiz. And you can show scores by categories and then where is retake the video, pass the quiz. Great. Oh, I'm sorry, here, wait a minute. And you can even have scores by categories. And then what happens is the recommendations will go in your dashboard. So normally you could either put a link or just go over to the dashboard, and the dashboard will list programs that are recommended for you. Wait a minute. And they should be here. Anyway, they should be, this is where they would go based on that recommendation. This is just a test, but so that's a really cool feature. The other thing I wanted to show was on the dashboard is certifications. So certifications keep people up to date. And if you go to your dashboard, you'll see which ones, in this case, we have one in progress here. And if I click that and get more information on that certification, it tells me a little bit about it, what it is, and what's included, what programs are included in that certification. And it tells me what I've completed so far. So I can look and see what's required. You can also here add external experiences. That's what it's asking me. Would you like to add external credits or experiences for that certification? And it tells me everything that's included, whether it has elective points. I can view those actions. Otherwise, I would go ahead and start taking those courses within the certification program. Some other helpful things here are participant listings. So user directories, everybody that's a learner within the site, you can connect with them, add user to your contacts. You can message users individually, so that's perfect when it's in a course, or you can decide to block a user. And it only shows up if they've agreed to make themselves accessible within the site. From a profile standpoint, so this is my profile. I have my interest categories. So if I rate public health as a number 5, they'll push public health programs to me when I log in. So you rate these 1 to 5, and if it's the higher rated programs, the more likely they'll get recommended to you. And then you can also here set up your privacy and your messaging settings as well, and add contacts there, or decide if you want to block users. The other thing I just wanted to share here is the resource library. So we're using this as helpful resources. You can set these up, and these can be updated white papers or instructions or whatever to complement the other components of your site. I wanted to go quickly to another one of our demo sites, and this was modeled after the National Art Educators Association. And I'm just going to show you real quick the e-commerce and then accessing a course. So I'm going to register for this here. Complete our registration. Hold on one sec. Register for that. Okay, it's telling me it's already on there. Hold on one sec, John.
Okay.
This one. I'm going to do this one here. Complete registration. Okay. So this is the shopping cart, and I'm going to use my prepaid balance. And it tells me I have $400 left, so we'll go ahead and click that and apply it. And that wipes out the cost there.
Nice.
And I can also use discounts. There's different ways to use discount codes. You can do it by time. You can do it by percentage. You can do it on one product or all products. You can ask custom questions before somebody completes their registration. I'll go ahead and complete it here. It gives you the receipt right there, and then you can view that program. And also I received an email based on, and it tells me this is a webinar and it's in progress. So if I go ahead and click that, it'll take me right into the webinar. I'm not going to do that right now. And that webinar is going to be a Zoom webinar that we're seamlessly integrated with. So we click that, it brings you right in, authenticates you, and you're all set to go. Once you've completed the webinar, actually, let me go ahead and hit that button so I can take to the next steps. And I'm going to not go into there. Okay, now I can take the quiz that I completed the webinar. So we'll go ahead and do that. And you can have images. Again, you can have videos. So it's very flexible there. You can put a timer on it here. Hopefully there's not too many questions. I think this is the last one. Tells me I've passed, so we're good to go there. And it gives me a progress report. Notice that on the top here. You'll see that going so you know sort of how far you are. It has a great survey tool, so we'll go ahead and it's pretty much any kind of question. It can be a matrix, a Likert scale, multiple choice, text, drop-down menus, so forth. There's also skip logic, so it gives you that ability to and you can save it for later or return to it whenever you want. And finally, the certificate. We'll go ahead and look at that, and it tells me that I got a nicely branded certificates. We've just introduced where clients can set up their own certificates, so they have complete control of that as well. And pretty much like everything, they can do all of this themselves. So that is a brief demo and some of the highlights of our platform. Any other questions, John?
Yeah, that was really great. I love this series of content because I get to see things that I haven't seen before, and it's probably been too long, but it's probably been a solid 2 years since I've seen what you guys have been doing, and you've made some tremendous progress on all kinds of fronts. Certainly with the integration of the companies and the end-to-end solution from event registration and the sharing of knowledge all the way through professional development and collaboration, but just throughout the product of just little incremental things. First off, it looks beautiful. I love when you demo through client sites because there's nothing more practical to bring the solution to life, to see it how it actually looks. In each one of those cases, the interfaces are so sharp. And without a doubt, in my career, it has always been exactly like you described, the differences between events and professional education. and to see your strategy and the tools to integrate those is pretty cool. And I certainly see the value in it. 300 of your clients see the value, and I bet a whole lot more coming up. The accessibility bar and the translation bar, as I mentioned earlier, is what a nice piece of innovation. Haven't seen anything like that, not even close to that. Yes, with the changing of the languages, but no with the 100, and certainly no with the accessibility. That part was really cool. I love just the microsite concept of kind of bringing that CMS concept in, but it's not just CMS concept that you may see in other solutions, but that how you take it a step further by having the templates for the agendas, for the speakers, for the submissions, for all the different pieces that you're going to need to run microsites, to run these blades, to tie it in. It just makes it so much more useful. You can, in some applications, for example, you could have like a 2-column this or a column this or column that, but to actually take a 2-column and say, here's how you're going to use it for this particular circumstance, makes it really useful. And that saves a lot of time, and it saves a lot of people sitting around saying, how are we going to do this? You can start from right there. And I think, just the little pieces from the assessments to the surveys, to how clean it is, that you can edit right from the content item from a manager versus saying, okay, let me go over, find this at a manager, find the same course, keep one open in one tab and one open in another, is like a much more common approach. So to kind of bring that admin, even though you didn't want them there while you were demoing, but right to the front when you are admin or content authoring, seems so simple, but you don't see it very often. But it really streamlines probably about 3 or 4 clicks on each time you want to edit something. So there's just a few things on the quick analysis that is different. But all in all, love it, super impressed, and I'm really glad you took the time here to introduce the company, the solution, and then really get in deep here on what Elevate can do. Thanks, Rich.
Yeah, no, thank you, John. Really appreciate it. Glad to be a part of this, and grateful for all you're doing.
All right, well, awesome. Appreciate that. Audience, thanks for tuning in to another executive briefing demo. You have to agree, this was a unique and special one, and hope to see you on the next. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.
Yep, thank you, John.